This is History of Sports Media, Sports Broadcast Analysis, Assignment 3. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, and the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing welcome you to Phoenix International Raceway for Race 9 of the 2012 Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the AdvoCare 500. No, I am not Bob Jenkins, and unfortunately, neither is Nicole Briscoe. ESPN's coverage of NASCAR nowadays is far different from the way it was before the Fox and NBC contracts went into effect in 2001. And I can go on and on if I wanted to about how different the television networks broadcast NASCAR. But I'm here today to talk about how ESPN did when it came to broadcasting the 2012 AdvoCare 500 from Phoenix International Raceway. Going into this event, there were two main storylines that had the entire NASCAR Sprint Cup Series world talking. Those being the announcement from 3 days prior that Kevin Harvick would be driving for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2014, and the 2012 Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup and the drivers that were still mathematically in contention. During the race, the three drivers that had a fairly decent shot of still being in contention heading into the season finale at Homestead were Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, and Clint Bowyer. Since 2007, both ESPN and Fox have had two different sets of broadcast teams. A pre-race countdown team, which is currently being paneled by Nicole Briscoe, Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty, and Ray Evernham. And a lap-by-lap commentary team, which is currently being held by Alan Bestwick, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. The Fox networks began a system in 2001 where the broadcast teams uniquely connected with the audience by not having only a former driver as a network color commentator, but having a former crew chief as a color commentator as well. When NASCAR returned to broadcasting races on ESPN in 2007, they followed suit in this scenario rather than having two former drivers. The race was just your typical ordinary race during the first 310 laps, but it wasn't until there was 2 laps to go when the race really began. A few laps prior, Clint Bowyer got into Jeff Gordon similar to the way he did at Martinsville last April. Then, Gordon had had enough. Gordon took full advantage of boys have at it and took Bowyer out. Both cars, along with the cars of Joey Logano and Eric Almirola, were damaged to the point where they were unable to continue. But this was only the episode of Sunday Night Heat. It wasn't until Jeff Gordon got out of his car in the garage area when the pay-per-view really began. As soon as Jeff Gordon climbed out of his car, Clint Bowyer's crew chief Brian Patty and the rest of the number 15 crew came charging like the 300 Spartans, and from there, it was on. Clint immediately flew out of his car and ran to Gordon's hauler wanting a piece of the action, but by the time he got there, security was already on the scene. But it didn't even end there. Controversy continued as on the last lap, a caution did not fly as Danica Patrick's car spun out due to the leftover oil that was on the track that wasn't cleaned up from the Gordon-Bowyer wreck. From there, an even bigger wreck ensued as several cars were involved. Dale Jarrett immediately said from the ESPN booth that he was shocked that NASCAR did not throw a yellow flag for the situation. As soon as the Gordon-Bowyer fight took place, social media exploded. Jeff Gordon became the #1 trend worldwide on Twitter, and a few other hashtags such as Team Gordon or Team Bowyer became popular as well. Jamie Little and Marty Smith did their best interviewing both the Gordon and Bowyer teams in the garage area when it came to the situation. Both Marty Smith and Shannon Spake even tweeted photos and gave fans updates as they came in. Even some of the drivers, such as Joey Logano, gave their 2 cents about the whole controversy on their Twitter accounts. Final thoughts. I thought ESPN did their job as it pertained to the race itself, and the controversy that surrounded the events that transpired post-race kept us informed both on Twitter and on SportsCenter, and overall, it was very informative, and they did a good job. That concludes this broadcast analysis. Stay tuned for more on this channel. Subscribe. I am T-Money35. Till we meet again.